everybody. Ever New with Kris M. Smith, Hannah McCrane, and guests is about living out loud, forging lasting connections, and visiting with effervescent thinkers and dreamers. It's an uplifting hour or more that promises to leave everyone feeling better. So who's up for some fun? Welcome. Let's get this party started. Hi, Hannah.
Hi, Kris. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It looks like people are coming in already, so it looks like
good.
It looks like it is working. Your sister reported earlier that it might not be, but we have eyes on it, so I think it is. So I won't worry about that unless I hear more from her. Let's kick this off with a segment called Joyride and talk about the things that have brought us joy this week. Did you want to start?
Sure. So I had a little fun day yesterday. So my sister Abby and we got to go to Five Below, a great store. I love it. It's everything's like $5 or $6 and under, and I got this little guy, and I love him.
Put it closer. Yeah. Now go back. Hustle for the. Oh, it's a bear.
Muscle. Yeah, it's
That's
a little
awesome.
Bear. His name is Jack.
Hi, Jack.
It's a Squishmallow, so they're really cute and really soft. Yeah, I just really love
how
it.
Cool! It could be an anxiety doll too, like a
it
doll.
could.
Yeah,
definitely. After that, we got to go to Chick-fil-A. I mean, not Chick-fil-A, Chipotle. So that was good. I love Chipotle, and I hadn't been able to get anything from them in a long time. And then last night, Abby and I went to the theater with a couple of our friends, and we saw Sound of Music.
Oh, all right.
That was very nice. Yeah, it was really cute.
The original with Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer?
No, it was a live theater production.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah, it was really cute. Yeah. They had this one little girl in the cast who was like 5. One of the main characters. She was great. Adorable.
Janet is with us from UK saying hello. And your sister said she was able to join, so it just was because we weren't live yet.
Awesome.
John says, hi, guys. It's been really windy today. Well, as you can see, it's springtime where I am in the Pacific Northwest. You see, I have a new picture up behind. I took that picture yesterday when I was walking, and I have some Joyride. Do you have more Joyride, Hannah?
My family and I went to Nifty 50s the other day. Do you guys have that up in the Pacific Northwest? Nifty 50s?
No.
Okay, so it's a restaurant that it looks just like the 1950s.
Oh,
how they look like a decor, and everything's made right there, so you can get like burgers, fries. But the thing that really sticks out to us are their milkshakes, because they have all these different flavors of milkshakes. I mean, they have like regular, like chocolate or whatever, but then they have stuff like Irish potato, peanut butter and jelly, s'more, like all this incredible stuff. And yeah, I absolutely love it.
And your sister's saying she was so cute. Who is she referring to?
Yeah, the little girl.
Oh, okay.
She played a Gretel, I think the name was.
Today would have been 90 years old. What are we talking about, John?
He says down there, Leonard Nimoy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's March 26th.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and we just passed Shatner's birthday.
Shatner's birthday, too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking. Okay. Yeah, we got you. Bill Shatner was just a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll do my Joyride things. First of all, I just edited this manuscript that I think is destined to become a motion picture at some point. The author is a quadriplegic man who's about 67 now, but when he was 17, totally sober, He doesn't remember why or how it happened. He fell off a 40-foot cliff and landed on a rocky, surface and became a quadriplegic. And of course, he didn't know it even happened until he wakes up 2 weeks later with a hole drilled in his head and no memory of what happened, but he's being turned kind of like on a spit every 2 hours from front to back so he's not developing bed sores. And over the course of the next few weeks, he realized what happened to him and that he is going to be paralyzed for the rest of his life, a quadriplegic. Well, he's been an adventurer. He's been calling himself an Argonaut practically his whole life up to this point, and a hunter, archer, extreme sports, just a full out athletic, incredible kid. And he realizes that's over, or he thinks that's over. And at first he just wants to die. He just, he stops eating and they say, look, that's not going to happen. We will tube feed you if we have to. Anyhow, he finally, because they wouldn't let him die, he said, well, I have to learn to deal with this. And over time, he began to say, look, I still have the ability to write. My brain is still here. And he starts deciding he's going to continue to be an Argonaut in every way that he possibly can. So he gets attendance and he goes to college and meets friends. Fortunately, at the dorm, he meets friends who are adventurers and they take him everywhere with them. If they go to spring break, he goes to spring break. If they go scuba diving, he goes scuba diving. They just do whatever they need to do to make sure that he's included. And over time, he realizes my life is not over. I can still continue to do as many things as I choose to do. I just have to have the right people and the right attitude and get it done. And he was paragliding, he was scuba diving, he was climbing rocks in a wheelchair. I mean, just doing all this stuff. And this was before the Americans with Disabilities Act. So he realized the accessibility issues for young people or anybody like him, especially people coming home from the Vietnam War at that time, that they weren't able to extend their lives in any meaningful way because of the accessibility issues. They couldn't get on a bus. Vehicles had to be specially made for them. Even if they were specially made, there was no way to get people up steps. There was no way to get people easily into, establishments where they could work or anything else. So he also became an advocate for the disabled and started doing Martin Luther King Jr. type protests where they would get a bunch of disabled people and park them in front of city buses, and the city buses would get upset and call the police, and the police would say, you need to get off the street. And he said, well, get off the street as soon as you make an appointment with the mayor so we can talk about accessibility issues. Right now, we're keeping you from having access for one day. The way things are now, we have no access for the rest of our lives unless somebody talks to us. So he ended up getting, meetings with mayors and these concessions made for these people who still want to live their lives and still have plenty to contribute, but just aren't able to because of accessibility issues. So he took his misfortune, his catastrophic misfortune, and turned it around to helping literally tens of thousands and probably over his lifetime, millions of people regain the ability to work, play, love, explore to the limits of their abilities. It's just an amazing thing. He's so humble. I mean, the first title he had for his book, it's like, no, you can't be doing that. You are minimizing your contributions, So we've come up with another title. I won't tell you anything more about it until it's a done deal and he gives me permission. But I can see Tom Cruise playing this role. I can see like Ron Howard or somebody producing it, because Ron Howard did A Beautiful Mind and he did Apollo, which is both Argonaut and, about a so-called disability. So I'm just imagining a future for this book that is beyond a book. It's going to change lives The more people who hear this person's story, the more likely they are to say, you know,
Mhm.
my life is not ended if they have a catastrophic injury. So it's just exciting as heck to me to be
Mhm.
on, like on the ground floor, on the foundational of something this exact, this terrific. So that's one of them. The other one I
Mhm.
want to show you, this is from Hannah and her artist friend. Let me get here. And her artist friend, Reggie O'Connell. Is that right?
Yes, Reg O'Connell.
Reg O'Connell. He has let me get down here. There we go. You recognize the picture, Dee and me with Deacon. Reggie turned it, changed the reading for Kris, the best dad cat I know, because Dee had written the best mom cat I know. And little did they know, I have often thought, I wish that said the best dad cat I know. I had never mentioned this to Hannah, but she is like empathetic. She is. Can you read that? And she got this done for me, and I am so completely thrilled. I can't even get over it. It's right up there on my wall, and right next to a new sign I have that says "Underestimate me." That'll be fun.
Yes.
And now a fun thing. This is a joyride for my rats. As most of you know, I have 8 female rats that I rescued from being eaten up by a snake, and they live in my den, and I build them a rat condo complex every 7 to 8 days. And this is the new one, and they are getting so used to the transfer that now when I set the old one down onto the chair while I put the new one up, they start poking their heads out going, oh, a new condo, a new condo. I used to have to lift them out, but now they're like, oh, a new condo, because they don't like being in stinky surroundings any more than I do. And the moment I get any whiff of rat urine, which takes usually a week or 10 days, I swap it out now. And they realize, oh, he's coming to help me with our new condo, and they just go all over this new condo, in and out, up and down. You hear them chewing and making holes where they want the condo to be. The neat thing about them is they never come down on the floor. They're completely happy up there. They're probably the best doggone pets I've had, as far as being, easy to care for and obedient and not doing bad things. They're just really, really wonderful critters. Okay, I got a couple more joy rides before we get going. We got comments coming in, and I'll grab them in just a minute. This is my new yard sign. I better get rid of some comments here if I can figure out where to. This is my new yard sign for my business. Cat got your tongue? Let me help. For people who need a writer. And I put that out there. I'll tell you what I did. I put it out there mainly to let people know I'm here every day, 24/7, 365, because there are porch pirates around here. And I want them to know there is somebody here literally all the time. If I'm not here, Jackie's here. Yeah. If I'm not here, Jackie's here. If ever we even miss it by a half hour, we always park inside so nobody can tell whether we're here or not. But even if we miss it by a half hour, that yard sign says, I'm here. The windows are open, and people people on both sides of us have had things ripped off, but we haven't. And I think part of it's because of that yard sign. So folks, you might want to get a yard sign that says you're there 24/7, 365. It's terribly helpful. What's the other thing? Ross Trowbridge cannot join us today. Do you know why? You're going to love this. Ross is having a Trek gathering of 100 Trek fans from the Pacific Northwest area down into Utah today at this very moment as we speak, and he's busy. I asked his permission to tell you about it, and he sent me some photos. Every year for the last 7 years, he has had a Trek gathering, and they watch Star Trek things. This is the theater where they watch Star Trek things. This is an hour ago. They were setting up for this. And he sent me some photos, and I just thought I'd let you know that that's what Ross is doing today. And I said, where's our invitation? He said, you're invited. You're invited. Well, we're doing this year. So maybe next year, maybe we'll actually end up going down there next year. I would love to. I'd love to meet him, and I'd love to see all his critters. He's the one in Utah. He's called Golden Spike here. He's the one with the burros and the Shinkanting ponies and the, you name it, wild horses. He's been rescuing, adopting animals to keep them safe. So he's a real animal lover, which I love. So, and Hannah loves, and anybody who loves animals loves. So, comments. Let me do some. Amy. Amy joining late. I was talking about someone whose book I am editing, and if that's what you're talking about a book I'm editing about a gentleman who ended up being quadriplegic and ended up changing the world as a result of it. So that's what that's all about. Jano, say hi, Kris. Hi, Hannah.
Hey, Jano.
And now I'm catching up. I absolutely love that picture.
All right, let you know.
That was the Reg Art picture, and the
I'll
great
let him
shirt.
know. Yes, yeah.
I love my shirt. Cookie Sword is back. Cookie Sword, we have missed you for like what 3 or 4 weeks. Thank you for coming back. We're getting better every single time we have one of these things. So please tell more people about it and come see us. Worf, I'm not a merry man. Yes. Oh no! Golden Spike says I have you on a 30-foot screen. Oh no, they're watching us live. Trick fans, hello, we're here. We talk about DeForest Kelley quite a lot, and we will talk about other Star Trek things too. But we also talk about DeForest Kelley's Western career. So anyhow, that's awesome. I don't know if I'm addressing 100 people right now or not, but this is where to find us. And Ross can give you the Twitch TV thing. And he says people are starting to write, so I know he's going to end up going bye-bye now. But that's cool. That is way cool. I don't know if you recorded that, Ross, but if you did, please have our welcome to your crew. That's awesome. Okay, I think we're caught up on. We've got lots of eyes here. So EYES. Need some more comments, but we got lots of eyes. You had some questions for me, Hannah, about
Cookie Sword actually has a comment.
Oh, okay.
Cookie Sword says, yes, I was upset I had to miss a few weeks, but I was able to make it this week, and I'm so glad. We're glad to have you back.
Please keep coming. We're always commenting on the people who we're used to seeing and don't. And it was like, where's Cookie Sword? So we're so glad you're back. Thank you. It's every other week, by the way, at 10:30 Pacific time. Every other week, not every week. So I just wanted to let you know that. Golden Spike says, keep sending photos my way. I don't know that I will see them, but I can also show them next week if I don't get to them. Janet, hi, Kris. You asked for any comments for your talk today. Has there ever been any studio interest in making a biopic of Dee's life? Not sure which actor would play the part, but they would have to reflect his personality and likeness. What do you think would be best? When he was younger, I thought Gary Sinise, looked an awful lot like Dee, younger. Yeah, I don't know who could. That would be like Carl Urban. I think Carl Urban would do a wonderful DeForest Kelley because he has pretty much the same heart. When I met him, I could tell that he was truly, a kind, compassionate, caring person. So I would want somebody like that who would do that. But yeah, that's an interesting question. A gal named Lisa Lomas asked me, would I ever have another serval? The question to that is, I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to put a picture up here of my serval. This was my serval when he was a baby.
Oh my gosh, I love him.
This is my serval later. Okay, I need to get rid of the comments first so you can actually see. There we go. This is Deacon later. Would I have another one? Not if I can help it. And here's why. A, I'm 71 years old. They live 17 years. I don't know what's going to happen to me in the next 17 years, but if you have a wild animal that you bring into your life and you bond with it and stuff, who do you give it to, if something should happen to you? The second is there are a huge number of hoops you have to jump through in order to have a wild cat as a pet, which is fine. I jump through them all and I always pass the tests and the whole thing, but it's extremely expensive because you have to keep paying for vet visits that they don't necessarily need and inspections that they don't necessarily need. The Endangered Species Act, people get in on it. The Humane Society gets in on it. You're just constantly being, monitored, which is, I totally get it. And I totally agree. If you're going to have an animal like that, you should be doing it right, or you shouldn't be doing it. The other thing is, I need to get back to the picture so I can take it back away. The other thing is, to this day, Deacon has been gone since 1996, so over 20 years. To this day, I still have nightmares, even though nothing bad ever happened with him. During his entire life, I worried, what if he gets hurt? What if somebody hurts him? What if he gets out? What if, he gets some way, escapes, and somebody sees him and said there's a wild cat and shoots him? What if he bites somebody because they're, you just constantly are on the alert, and it's an anxiety producing thing to have something that is that, in quotes, special. I didn't let many people know I had him. Even my neighbors, I didn't let know I had him. Only those who needed to know knew, because I didn't want people being afraid of a wild cat next door, so-called wild cat. He didn't know he was a cat, let alone a wild cat. But just the concept of a knee-high cat would scare a lot of people. So, there's just so much. That said, if somebody came to me with a baby serval and said, this cat really needs a home, I would have a hard time saying no, because it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. I was able to do it. I was able to do it for his whole life without worrying about something bad befalling him. I have worked at far too many animal sanctuaries in my life where people thought, I want this baby lion, I want this baby tiger, I want this serval, I want this whatever. And they get too big and they start eating the couches, and they start eating the dogs or the cats or whatever it is they're doing that the people don't like. And they give them up to a sanctuary. And for the rest of their lives, that animal is wandering back and forth in their cage looking for their people, just the way a dog or a cat, a domestic dog or a cat would do. Like, where are my people? They have lost their family. They have lost the people they bonded with. And it always broke my heart. I thought, nobody should ever even consider doing it unless you're willing to not have children, to not have a life, to never take a vacation, to never do anything other than for the benefit of that animal for as long as it lives. That is a heck of an undertaking. And only people who are willing to agree to that should be allowed to do it. That said, I don't believe it should be illegal. I think those people who can truly care for an animal should be able to adopt animals that are confiscated because they are not being properly cared for. I'm not a all or nothing person, but I think you better be qualified, committed, and absolutely dedicated to the well-being of that animal from the time you receive it until it passes away, hopefully of old age, and give it a happy life. So that's my long answer to that question. I wrote a book called Serval Sun, Spots and Stripes Forever. If you want to read about my journey with him and why I feel as strongly as I do, let me put up the book cover for you. Well, do I not have that one up? Here it is right here. Oh, guess what? I need to put it under. I need to get the larger one.
It's kind of tiny.
Yeah, there you go. You are responsible for all you tame. That's basically the bottom line of that. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. I would not have missed it for the world, but I was also willing to do absolutely everything that was required to make sure he had a decent life. So it's not an easy thing to decide. Okay. Oh, we answered that one. Okay. I think we're caught up on the, we got lots of eyes. We got one love. We have, Lisa Lomas gave us a love. Yay, Lisa. Thank you,
Lisa.
We have 2 people on MDB Media. No, we have 10, 9, 11. We have 11 people on MDB Media alone. So
Nice.
That's awesome. Okay. Oh, you had some questions for me. I went off on that tangent, and I want to give you an opportunity to ask your questions.
Yeah. Well, since we were just on the topic of animals, are there any animals that you do not like?
I'm not crazy about mosquitoes.
Not many people are.
I realize they are valuable to the ecosystem, and many, many, many animals rely on them for their food source. I'm not for letting anything go extinct, but mosquitoes carry the tsetse flies and stuff like that. Small insects carry diseases and ravage entire populations of people. So I wouldn't be crazy to go swim with sharks, although most of them won't hurt you. But I don't know. I think I was a sea otter in another life, because that's about the only animal that I can think of that scares me kind of spitless is sharks.
I've gone swimming with sharks.
You have gone swimming with sharks?
Yeah.
I would do it with some. I'm not like anti-shark, but the idea of going down in a cage with the great whites and stuff like that, that doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, no.
It's like, no, they want to eat me. I don't really want to do that.
No, I was on vacation somewhere, and they had, an option to swim with sharks. So a friend and I just went.
That's
and
awesome.
They were telling people, you can't kick or anything. And of course, the people like either in front of us or behind us, that's all they're doing. And I'm like,
right.
You do realize, like they didn't like take the teeth out of these sharks, right? And even if they did, they would have just grown it back. These sharks can still attack you. You realize that, right?
That's correct.
But,
The interesting thing about people who do a lot of swimming with sharks is that they are very much like cattle. They will tell you you are in violation of my safe space. They will arch their back. They'll do a number of things to let you know you are in trouble here if you don't back off. But unless you can read shark, you don't know that. I mean, bears do the same thing. Cats do the same thing. All of these animals have these things that say you're violating my space, back off. But I don't know those cues. The other thing, of course, I'm not crazy about poisonous snakes. I love snakes. I mean, I've handled pythons and garter snakes and whatever, but I certainly don't want to tangle with a rattlesnake or a water moccasin or anything like that. I mean, I don't hold anything against them. That they do what they do, and they are valuable in their environment for what it is they contribute to it and take from it. But I'm pretty much I'm for animals. I just don't want them all next door to me or in my shoes. Scorpions
Yeah.
would not be a good thing, you know, that kind of stuff. So
How long would you survive in Australia then?
I heard there are a lot of poisonous things in Australia, but you know what? There are
Hmm.
a lot of poisonous things east of the mountains here, and I lived there. There are plenty of millions and millions of people living in Australia who don't get offed by
That's true.
poisonous
Yeah.
things. So yeah, I never go in with that kind of fear. When I was in Louisiana, because it was an international port, they said every kind of poisonous snake possible is here. They've come off the ships. Be careful. So I had to learn whenever anything slithered through the grasses to no, that's not a garter snake. That could be any
Yeah.
other kind of snake. That could be, you
Hmm.
know, a cobra. So I learned to become cautious. But I
Yeah.
grew up here on the west side, on the wet side of Washington State. There is nothing poisonous here, or was nothing when I was a kid. I guess there are black widow spiders here now and some things like that. But when I was a kid, there was nothing to be afraid of. So mom just turned me
Hmm.
loose and let me go collect salamanders and newts and frogs and snakes
Hmm.
and anything I could get my little hands on. So I love nature, and I understand that everything, you know, serves its purpose. So, and you had another question?
Sure. Since we're still on animals, Dee and Carolyn were animal people.
Yes.
Do you know which ones were their favorites?
I don't know that they had favorites necessarily. Dee and Carolyn usually talked about their pets, which were mostly dogs, but they did have some cats wander into their yard, one of which they named Maggie, although they didn't know her name. And she became friendly. They didn't let her in the house, but because she wasn't theirs. But
Hmm.
their favorite animal charities were the North Shore Animal League, which is a cat and dog rescue place, a no-kill shelter. It's still there. And the Shambhala Preserve, which is where Deacon was the first 15 months of his life when I moved down to California to find work in the entertainment industry. I needed to find a home for Deacon while I looked for work and a landlord who would let me have a so-called wild animal in the backyard. So, yeah. Did I answer that?
Yeah, I think so. Would you ever get another dog?
Yes, I would. My sister has this habit of getting these little tiny dogs that are smaller than my cats, and I kind of call them rats because the bad thing about a dog that small around here in the Pacific Northwest is eagles and hawks and owls
Yeah.
and all kinds of stuff can pick them up. If they go outside and go potty, you have to go with them and stand there so something doesn't carry them off. She had a couple of them carried off, and I'm like, that's not the kind of pet I want. I want a pet that,
Yeah. No.
that nobody's going to lift off into the sky, and one that is actually going to be of some benefit, your size dog or larger, I would say.
Hmm.
I want a knee-high dog or larger. I've had German Shepherd mixes and Afghan mixes, and you know, Labrador Retriever was one of my first pets when I was a kid. So yes, I would get a dog again. I've been thinking about getting a dog again. The scary thing about it is goats and dogs are kind of mortal enemies, and even a little tiny dog will make a goat feel nervous, very, very nervous. So I would have to acclimate the dog to the goats so that the goats would realize that this dog isn't here to hurt. Get a livestock guardian dog or something like that.
Yeah.
Because, and even then, it would probably be hard to acclimate the goats I have now with something new like that. Because anytime a dog comes anywhere around, they are in high alert. They are just getting ready to run. So I don't want to do that to my goats.
Yeah, that's really understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to take a cross-country trip. We're taking our dog with us, but we're going to be incredibly careful with her. She's not even going on the beach because at some beaches, seagulls have actually started attacking dogs.
Yes.
And in I know of one case where a Chihuahua, was carried off by a couple seagulls.
Yes.
And I'm like, No, no.
But
She's
she's
too
big
big to be
enough.
carried off. She's too big to be carried off, but
Yes,
she's not too big to be like attacked and pecked
that's
at.
correct.
You
That's
know,
correct.
exactly. So we get those big birds around here too. I saw one yesterday, and I'm like, all right, come on, Sadie, let's
Yep.
get you somewhere safe. You know,
One year, a couple of years ago, I was in my recliner out in the backyard next to the goats, and we have almost an acre here. So on the far, far across the yard, about as far as you can get across the yard before the goat fence starts, these crows started making a racket. I had my eyes closed. These crows started making this huge, enormous racket. And I said, what is going on? And I opened my eyes and I looked to my right, and there was a coyote in my backyard. And these crows were driving it off. They knew the coyote shouldn't be there. And they were literally dive bombing it and driving it off. They turned it around and sent it off. So a protective bird, especially if they have babies or they know that something shouldn't be here. That's another reason I'm glad we have crows here and that I feed the crows, because they realize this is a safe space for them, and they want it to be a safe space for everything. And they will drive off bald eagles. They will drive off hawks. They will drive off anything that comes onto our property that is not safe for the goats or for the dogs and cats.
I'm not sure if this is true, but I heard that eagles over in the Pacific Northwest and stuff, California, Washington, where you are actually bigger and more aggressive than the ones we have here in the Northeast.
I don't know. I do not know.
Yeah, I haven't seen the crows here are big, but I haven't seen them attack anybody. That's more so seagulls. Yeah, so I really don't know. I know that in some parts of the world, wolves and crows have actually started to form a kind of bond. Yeah, and they're actually working together. Yeah.
So do the goats. So do the goats and the crows.
Yeah.
Because the crows will let the goats know something bad. And I can be sitting out with them, and all of a sudden the crow will say whatever that crow is saying to the goats, and they'll go, what?
Exactly,
and I go, oh, there's something happening that I'm not privy to, but the crows have told the goats, and the goats are on high alert.
Yeah. You do not want to make a crow angry. They're incredibly intelligent. They can remember a face up to 5 years. So if you make them angry once, they will remember that and get you as much as they can.
The interesting thing about the crows here, and I think it's because they know people aren't always the same way, I guess. I don't know, always reliable or trustworthy. As long as I've been feeding, they will even sit out there and crow for me to feed them. They'll say, come and feed us, come and feed us. They will not come down while I'm there. They will not, I have to go back into the house before they will come down. And I thought, God, after all these number of years, 10 years, you would think they'd say, oh, he's safe. I don't have to worry about him. I can come right down. They won't. They're extremely, extremely standoffish. Yeah. And I mean, I'll be on a walk and there'll be one on the wire, and I say, if you come with me, I'll feed you. Come on, I'll throw. And they know my voice, and they'll follow me home for me to feed them, but they will not trust me not to hurt them. And it breaks my heart, because what that tells me is an awful lot of people have probably betrayed their trust, and crows communicate that to their babies. Don't trust people. Just don't do it. So, it's sad, but I imagine a lot of the animals had to learn that, because during most of the year when it's not hunting season, oh my God, when I was in Cle Elum, growing up in Cle Elum, we had an entire herd of elk, probably 35 to 50 elk, that would literally eat in our pastures all year long. But as soon as hunting season came, boom, they were gone, because they could tell man had changed from a drive-by to a predator. They could tell when the preying instinct happened. And when Tippy Hedron, when Deacon was up at Tippy Hedron's Shambhala Preserve, a gentleman came. She said, every time a hunter comes on this place, I can tell. And she told the story that she was walking with a hunter one time, and he hadn't told her anything, but she said, you're a hunter, aren't you? And he said, yes, how did you know that? And she said, I don't know. The animals know. They act totally different when hunters are here.
That's kind of terrifying when you think of it.
Because the hunters are looking at them as maybe a trophy on the wall, whatever that is, whatever that psychic ability of theirs is to know that person is not safe. At least with the big cats, that is part of their ability to get along. Yeah.
A lot of dogs can read that kind of stuff too. If you're not a good person, you know.
Deacon was like that. My serval was like that. He only took on, threatened to take on a couple of people. My dad once, when he was drunk out of his mind and belligerent. And another man came, a Maytag repairman came up to the door, and Deacon went, no, absolutely not. And I'm like, whoa, he knows something I don't know. So I put him and me into another room while the guy worked there, and just, didn't get anywhere near this guy, nowhere near him. It's just like, okay, thank you very much. Paid him and let him go. But it's like, oh my God, I don't know what that is, but he knows.
Now, Sadie, who I've shown on here a couple times, I'm not sure if she has that. Because she'll bark at you if you're outside, no matter what. But then if someone comes in, if it's even someone she hasn't met, if we open the door and let him in, she's like, you made it past the path. You've made it through the, you made it through the door. Your friend.
That's because she's reading your acceptance of that person. But believe me, if you let somebody in who didn't have your best interest in heart and had something else in their mind, she would know that. And I think she would let you know that is not a good person. But you're her pack head. You're the head of her pack. And what you say goes. Yeah. What you say goes unless she analyzes and finds out something different that you don't know. And then she would let you know. I'm pretty sure most dogs will. Yeah. Anywho. My gosh, what are we doing here? How long have we been on here already? 45 minutes. I'm having a blast. Is everybody else? No comments.
We have some questions about D in the comments.
Oh, Janet says Gary Sinise could play him the best. He's now 66. Possibly, yeah. I thought of Gary Sinise. I don't think your rats would like it if you got another serval. That's absolutely true. My rats are very, very cat aware. And they are probably one of the reasons they're so good and never coming down is because most of the day I have this door open and the cats can come and go. And they're like, no, I'm not going down there. There are cats down there. That is sad. I don't know. I've lost the thread. About what is sad. So I'm sorry. Capone,
I remember what it was, but I'm not going to remind you.
Chubby cat. I had to put down his twin Dillinger a few years ago. I still cry. Yeah. There's something about pets that they're just so unconditionally loving, so non-judgmental. Yeah. Amy, if you'd like to join us as a co-host, please come on. Please join us. She's available. She's not walking. So join us if you can. I'll give you the link. Invite. This is your link, Amy. Copy to clipboard. Banners. Paste. Chat. Okay. It's thinking about letting me do this right now. There we go. Well, hello. I wonder, okay, I got to put it in a banner, I guess. There we go.
Yeah, probably.
Amy, if you'd like to join us, that's the way to do it right there. You were delightful the last time you were on. We'd love to have you join us. I know she's about ready to retire from teaching, so, and she's been hitting the trails, walking and walking and walking. So, anywho, did you have more questions?
Someone in the chat, I can't remember who it was, Lisa, asked if Dee was afraid of anything.
Not that I know of. He never mentioned being afraid of anything, although he had high blood pressure. I think one of the most anxiety-provoking careers you can ever embark on is probably acting, because you never know if you're ever going to work again. And there were many years when he was doing the cowboy stuff and the jumping back and forth between TV and movies and stuff, when he didn't know if he's going to be able to keep the roof over their heads. And that is a fear that almost anybody who is a provider, thinks about a lot. What if I don't get these jobs? I mean, creative people, you can audition and be rejected for 100 different reasons, and not having to do anything to do with your ability to act, just you're not right for this part. I don't see you in this part. So I know when I moved down to Hollywood and I told him I wanted to work in production, and then I got an opportunity to work at Warner Brothers as a secretary. And I said, what should I do? And he said, Kris, you do what you want to do. I know it'll work out either way. But if you work as a secretary at, basically, if you work at a secretary at Warner Brothers and you do a good job, you will have a career for the rest of your life. If you go into production, the production might last 3 weeks and then you're out of a job and you're looking for another job. All I have to say to you is you have to be willing to accept the consequences of whatever job you do take. If you're sturdy enough in mind and soul that you can take that kind of anxiety in your life, go creative. But if you want something you can depend on as a paycheck and do something that is needed year round and not just while a series is going on or one thing or another. So I guess that's probably, if you want to call that a fear, it's a serious consideration. And I think that was the only thing I really ever heard him mention was the hit and miss. He was so grateful when Star Trek came along. You have to realize that was the first time in his entire career that he had a job for 3 years running. Everything else was looking for work, getting work for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 16 weeks or something. It was a constant battle to keep finding roles. So, okay, I have a question about me. I remember in Star Trek 6, John McCoy said, I'm going to find a cup of black coffee. Did Dee like to drink coffee? Yes, he liked coffee. Yes, Dee drank coffee. I don't remember if he liked it black, though. I think he did. We have a pair of American eagles on our lake in Wisconsin. We've seen them go after something going after our loons. Yeah, George and Gracie. Yes. Yeah, they are, they can't go to Safeway. They got to do what they do to survive. I don't hold it against them. I just don't want them to be chomping on my critters. My dog always barks at one of my cousins. We've never been able to figure it out, but ever since we got him, he's done that and will not stop. That's not necessarily a bad thing. That's not necessarily a negative about your cousin. He could have, unless you got him as a really, really young pup and his complete background, that guy may be wearing a body lotion that reminds him of someone who was bad to him. He might be, doing flashbacks to another person either he resembles or smells like. Your cousin may be afraid of him. If your cousin's afraid of him, they'll get that fight or flight response going and bark. Like, if you're afraid of me and you're still approaching me, we must be in fight or flight. You must be going to fight me. So that Amy's here. I'm going to pat her. Hi, Amy.
Hello.
Hey, Amy.
Hi.
Hello. Good to see you both.
Good to see
You too.
you. Did you do your walk yet?
Well, not yet. I'm in walk mode, so hence the no makeup bedhead look.
Yeah, that's all right. All right. let me see if I can catch up on anything we're missing yet. And if not, nope, I don't think so. Tell us a little bit about you, Amy. What's happening with you? Catch us
Well,
up.
I popped on after you talked about the getting ready to retire from teaching
Yes.
because things have changed a
Oh,
little
yeah?
bit. Yes. It's kind of interesting. Like the beginning of this school year was so incredibly terrible, like just horrible for everyone. And in some parts of the country, it's still really, really bad.
Yes.
But in where I'm teaching, things have really started to mellow out, and the kids are a little calmer. So I'm like, I don't think I'm ready to retire. I am applying for a district level position, but yeah, I think I'll keep going.
I'm glad to hear that for the kids' sake.
Yeah.
As long as it continues to be a plus for you, we need all the teachers we can get, and they are retiring like nobody's business.
Yes.
Because this has been hell on wheels ever since COVID hit.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I was just watching a video of a teacher who just literally left, just put her keys on her desk and left, no notice or anything.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm done. I can't do this.
Yes.
So yeah, it's definitely been an interesting past couple of years in so many ways.
Yeah.
And I just hope for the kids' sake, because it's this trauma that they're experiencing. I hope that you know, we can figure out, you know, it all comes back to mental health and being able to have open conversations about mental health from very early ages to help support our kids and get them the coping skills they need so that they can grow into successful adults. But you know, we look around and we can see adults that have never learned those coping skills and make really poor choices. So.
And you want to hear a very, very sad statistic. Washington State is something like 46 out of 50 in mental health services. I mean, we're down there with Mississippi and the gang.
Yeah.
I have a friend who worked in mental health, and she said, I had to leave when it went all corporate and whatever. She said, all of the concern about helping people kind of went out the door. And she said it was just heartbreaking to try to get what people needed. So we have homeless encampments. Many of those people are mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you going to do? I mean, they're offered, you know, the only relief they're offered is booze or drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And there, but for the grace of God, who knows if we wouldn't be doing the same thing if all we had to look forward to was that. No help. There's no help. Now, right. It sounds to me like Governor Inslee just put a bunch of money more now again toward mental health. But yeah, okay, let's have this happening because we are 46 out of 50, and that is unconscionable for a progressive state like we are.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, really so shocking.
Unconscionable. Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about the application.
So it is, I'm a computer science teacher, and in the state, they have asked that schools offer computer science K-12. So it would be the coordinator to help implement that plan for my school district. And so I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and especially, go ahead, say again.
You'd still be working as a teacher?
Well, I would be a teacher on special assignment. So I wouldn't have my own classes, but I would go into other teachers' classes and help them. And one of the things that I would most be excited about is that, you know, we already at the junior or middle school and high school level, we have computer science offerings for students. But what I would really be excited to do is go into the elementary grades and help those teachers integrate computational thinking into what they're already doing, because teachers are busy and overwhelmed. They cannot add one more thing to their plate, so be like, oh, we're going to have a whole new, computer science program in the or elementary school. It's like, no, how do we incorporate those concepts into what they're already doing, so they give the kids a vocabulary? So it's just like mathematics. As they're growing up through school, they're realizing how important that topic is, like computational thinking, problem solving skills, being able to, write like algorithms, things like that, are to, engaging in our modern society, because it's very important, and not being afraid of it.
I also think they ought to be taught logic and, all of these, but what aboutism, instead, so that people can separate the wheat from the chaff when it comes to political discourse and stuff like that.
Yes.
Because we need people to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff, and that's not happening right now.
Yeah. Well, and then another thing too is just the whole idea of representation. Like, I am in a very diverse school district, and getting, underrepresented groups into computer science, so that the products that we have available to us are representative of everybody, not just, dominant group or whatever.
I'm presuming this name will be very familiar to you, but if it's not, I want to introduce you to her. Name is Erin Jones. She wrote the book Bridges to Heal Us. She's local, and she's into the diversity. And she ran for superintendent of public schools.
Oh, yes. Okay.
But
yes, I know her.
I know her. You know her. She
Yes.
would be somebody awesome to connect with to help that happen.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for the reminder. Yeah. I mean, I don't know her personally. I know of her. Yeah.
Right. Well, I could do an intro if you'd want to, or you could just reach out to her. She's very, very available. So
wonderful. Thank you.
And the Bridges to Heal Us book, her book, Bridges to Heal Us, is excellent if you'd like to get that and read it, because that might be helpful too. So, yeah.
Thank you.
So, well, it's good to see you. And we have already talked about getting together while you're up here at some point in Tacoma. So let's do that. Let's put a date on it.
Yes.
Because I haven't seen her since 1996, and she lives seriously 30 miles away.
No, isn't that just so sad?
It's nuts.
It really is. But, I haven't seen some of the teachers in my building, and we work in the same building. So
I know. Yeah.
People just get busy.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have any other comments coming in. We got lots of eyes. A lot of people are watching. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Hannah, did you have another question? Or are you all caught up on questions?
Well, we just talked about a kind of technology program. So I have here, what do you think, or which piece of technology from today's society do you think Dee and Carolyn would be the most surprised about? Surprised in a good way, negative way?
I'm going to probably make you laugh. They didn't even have a microwave in their home. They did not have a computer. They just wanted the things to stay comfortable for them, and they didn't need that stuff. I had to, bring to Dee's attention several times, they're saying this about you on the internet, and said, well, tell them this, he's dying of throat cancer, this, that, or the other thing. And it's like, and I said, Dee, you really should get a computer. No, anything important, you'll tell me. So I think maybe the virtual reality thing would float his boat. I mean, who doesn't, but I don't know. Do you have any ideas on that, Amy?
No, not from Dee's perspective, but I did make a card last night. Let me show you.
Okay.
Let's see.
Justin sending you an old school text. There you go. I like it. Yeah, I love it.
Oh.
Yeah, that was Dee's speed. And the neat thing about Dee was, I mean, we tried to get Carol on the computer, and I even said, I'll write you guys a form letter. You get thousands of letters every week. He said, no, 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 no. If anybody takes the time to write me a letter, I'm going to at least read it. And even if I just end up sending a signed photo, he would not go automatic with his fans. And it just always blew me away. I just loved him all the more for that. And I thought, my God, you people are investing years of your life unpaid to do this because they love their fans and they didn't want to automate. And he also said, I would never get one of those auto signing, machines that sign my name for me. I just won't do that. And I'm just, more proof he was the full meal deal. He didn't want any fakery going with him. If you heard from him, you heard from him. So yeah, I like that. And I think he was able to do that because he stayed the way he did. Yeah. Oh, we got a comment here. Let's see what it is. Clear down here. I think Dee would be really interested in having a cell phone that is in the palm of his hand. Probably. I don't know anybody who doesn't have one now.
Communicator.
Huh?
It's a literal communicator.
It is. It is.
You might have been interested in the. There's a couple Star Trek games on there.
They're really, really, really handy. You know that? I mean, when you're in your car, you're heading somewhere and you want to go someplace and you say, this is where I'm going. It says turn right in 200 feet. I mean, yeah, you really, that's almost a requisite anymore. I just can't imagine being without it. And I didn't have a smartphone for years and years. I've only had one for about 5 years. And now I can't imagine not having one.
Yeah. So Kris, I was that way too. When I resisted for the longest time getting a smartphone because I had my cell phone was one of those that had the flip up. And every time I would do it, I'd be like, doot, doot.
You can still get them that.
Yes. But it's like, I was like, I'm not getting a smartphone. I'm not getting it. And then when I got my smartphone, I'm like, I have a computer in my pocket. Like, this is the most amazing thing ever.
You having a computer that is more sophisticated than the one that sent, Neil Armstrong to the moon in your pocket.
Yeah.
Wow.
So incredible.
Yeah. All right.
I'd like to see Dee and Carolyn with, an Amazon Echo.
Yes.
That could be interesting.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I was telling you earlier about the quadriplegic whose book I just edited. He said Alexa was the best thing that ever happened for him because he doesn't have the ability to move about and do stuff. Mm-hmm. His voice can tell him, turn on the lights, turn on the TV, turn on the whatever he needs. And as I was reading his book, you always think I have empathy and I can sympathize and empathize, but until you read a book about what it is like, you really can't get there unless you live with somebody who has those challenges. You really can't get there. Mm-hmm. And reading that book made me go, oh my gosh. There's one instant, there's so many cliffhanger moments in that book. In one instance, he has a automatic, wheelchair, and it has a joystick on it so that because he has a little limited movement in one arm, he can go forward and backward, whatever. Well, he went to a swim meet to watch people swim, and because there was no wheelchair accessibility in the stands, they said, we'll come and sit near the pool. And one of his friends came and threw his coat over the top of his hand, and it put the joystick in forward, and this wheelchair starts heading for the pool. Now he's he's belted into his wheelchair. It heads for, and the guy says to him, "Where are you going? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that?" He thinks he has decided to drive into the pool, so he doesn't really try to stop it, And he said, if I hadn't hit the ladder leading down into the pool, if my chair hadn't hit it, I would have been in Davy Jones' locker, and nobody on earth could have gotten me up out of the wheelchair because I was belted in. It was over my head. He said, I would have died, And it's moments like that you think, oh my gosh, so many things can go wrong even when you get the right tool for the right job, that kind of thing, And there were numerous incidents like that where he would, his hand-driven van would do something that wasn't right, and it's like, oh my God, how? And he said, interestingly enough, when he went scuba diving, a lot of people say, gee, that must give you such freedom to get down into the ocean and be able to. And he said, no, that was actually the most constricting of all the extreme sports I did, because they put you into a scuba suit and I don't have a lot of arm movement, even when I'm not in a scuba suit, but you put me in a scuba suit and I'm even worse. I have even more limited mobility. And they were down 30 feet and his mask started to fill with water. The person who was with him noticed that, and he said, she motioned to him, I'm going to take your mask off, because what you do when your mask fills with water is you take it off and you reposition it, and then you blow air out of your nose to blow all the water out. And it scared him half to death, because now he's putting his life in someone else's hands 30 feet down, And at first he said, no, he was scared, even though they had practiced it in a swimming pool. But she said, we have to do this. I mean, you are literally, your mask is filling with water. And he finally said yes and did it. But stuff like that, I don't, unless you end up right in the water with him, experiencing that yourself, you don't really have a full appreciation of the things that people have to go through. And the wheelchair accessibility issue where, the city council would say, okay, well, let's put a wheelchair accessible curb here. Well, then they don't bother to put it down at the other end. So you get up and you go wheeling down there and there's no way to get off unless you back into the street. And this was way before the Americans with Disabilities Act. And he said even that was anemic when it came out. And he continued to become an activist to make things more accessible, because he wanted to live his life, and a lot of other people want to live their life. Whatever limitations you have, you still can do things if people don't put barricades in your way. And it's just an inspirational read, and I hope it becomes a movie. I think it'll be a blockbuster. So
that was actually a question that I was going to ask you when you first said that, is have you ever considered writing a screenplay?
I've considered it, but it's kind of scary. Yeah. Yeah. That is, you have to have a visual, you have to have storyboard ideas as well as, you can't just write it. And however, the way this book is written, I think it wouldn't be very, very terribly hard for a screenwriter to come along and make it happen. A professional screenwriter, I wouldn't offer to do something like that, because I would be a babe in the woods. But a professional script, that's why I think Ron Howard, who has done A Beautiful Mind, would probably either know how to or would know somebody who would know how to make that happen. He's got wonderful images of him climbing up in a wheelchair, up rock faces and on tall ships and all these places he went, paragliding, all of these things that he has done. He's got wonderful, wonderful images that they could either recreate or make it into a documentary if they didn't want to make it into a movie. But what this thing is so inspiring, I don't know if I'm going to call it inspirational so much as aspirational, to give people who have found themselves newly in this position of being limited, to make them realize you're only as limited as you accept yourself to be. There are things you can think of. Christopher Reeve, his mind was still there. At first he wanted to die. And then he realized my whole life really is in my head. You know, your life is in your head. And it's just a great book. It's a wonderful book.
Yeah. I came in late. So what did that guy do prior to his injury?
He was a teenager. He was going through high school, and he was preparing himself to become a homesteader in Alaska. First, he was going to go to the Vietnam War and do his duty there, and then he was going to go to college and get whatever skills he needed. But he was working toward becoming a homesteader in Alaska. So when this thing happened to him, it was like everything he ever wanted to do, everything came to a screeching halt. And at first he wanted to just die. He just wanted to stop eating and, my life is over.
Well, and isn't it amazing how I was talking to one of my students about this yesterday, that, when people go through an experience like that, and you do have that moment at the beginning of everything's over. I'll never be good again.
Right.
But so many people who go through different kinds of hardships, whatever that might be, that come out stronger, and then they help other people. They become helpers and make such a difference in the world. And then I think about me, I'm like, oh, I guess I should go on a walk.
Yes.
It's like why? It's just so amazing to me how some people can push themselves physically, and then others of us are like, oh, I'm kind of lazy.
Oh, believe me, since reading that book, I've got a whole new, it's like, okay, Kris, every time I walk, I'm walking for this dude. Because if he could be walking, he'd be walking. And every time you can put yourself in someone else's shoes like that, it just gives you that much more, get off your pity party and do what's good for you, because some people can't.
Right. And I read, where did I read? I read somewhere yesterday or the day before about that your body, stop thinking of exercise as a punishment for eating, but as a gift that your body can do so many amazing things. And so I think a lot of us just approach it with kind of a negative attitude instead of whoa, look at this amazing thing I have. And okay, here's another question for both of you and anyone in the chat too. I would love to know this. So have you ever thought about how old you want to live to? For me, it's 96. And that's because I want to be alive for the first contact celebration. So I will technically, because it's in early April, I will technically be 95, but my birthday's at the end of April. So, living to 96 and thinking about that. Okay, if I want to live that long, I'm 54 years old right now. I need to take better care of my body so that I am ready to put on my Vulcan ears and party, be the little old lady partying at 95 years old.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So have you thought about how old you want to live to and why?
I have, and I don't have a year for it, but I want to continue to, challenge my body. I've already made it a habit to walk. I really miss it when I don't walk. Okay. I love it. I love the ground under my feet. I love the sounds I hear, the things I see. I really have turned it into an enjoyable thing. It isn't exercise to me. It's my time for me. Okay. And I think I want to live as long as I'm continuing to really enjoy life. I have enjoyed my life as rough and as rocky and as crazy and as dysfunctional as it has been. I'm not done yet. I'm not tired. I'm not apathetic. I think I almost get a greater appreciation the longer I live, because I see other people, you know, and how their attitude really helps their destiny. And I'm just a happy person. I think as long as I stay happy, if I started to be physically not necessarily disabled, but uncomfortable and in pain and stuff like that, I don't know if I could maintain that, because these people who are in chronic pain, I don't know how they do it. I really don't. They do it. They absolutely do it. They learn to do it. They observe it instead of living it. And I would have to try to learn to do that. Hopefully I won't have to, though. So yeah, I don't have a date. I just know that I want to be here for as long as I'm enjoying it. And I don't mean that in a selfish way, because while I'm enjoying it, I'm also giving, I'm also sharing, and I'm, you know, passing along the joy. So, but yeah, I wouldn't want to be I also worry about, I wouldn't want to be a major burden to anybody. So yeah, but then you have to look at it and you think of the people I have helped, they thought they were burdening me and they weren't. It was my joy to help them. So if I ever got to that point, it's like, you know what, you just have to remember how good it feels to give.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Hannah? You're a young'un. Have you thought about this?
I am 25, and yeah, I have thought about it. Yeah, I was actually thinking about it the other day, so it's weird that you bring it up. I would like to live into my 90s. You know, not any specific year, just into the 90s. I think that's a pretty good age. You know, you've lived a long, hopefully a fruitful, successful, and happy life. Plus, I have a younger sister who is special needs, who will not be able to care for herself. And my other sister, Abby, and I, we have decided that we are going to be kind of like, that we're going to live close to each other and pass her back and forth. Because a lot of the, you know, like homes and everything are pretty bad. So we don't want her in that.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, my grandparents all died at either like 79 going on 80 or in their 80s. So I'm like, I'm thinking it's probably going to be somewhere around there. God willing, I live that long enough to begin with.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Hopefully.
Well, bless you, Hannah. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a beautiful thing that you and your sister have already planned to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, their whole family is amazing. I think I should put up some brand stuff up here, because, for example, I'm still learning this because I'm not used to this little thing yet. Maybe
you got this.
I think it's banners I'm looking for.
Yeah. While you're doing that,
yes.
John Bart 101 said he wants to live until 101.
All right. I believe that was George Burns lived to 101. Decoration duo. This is Hannah's mother's shop. I also want to find Amy's. I'm looking for Amy's too. I know I've got Amy's.
My mom actually made the shirt that I'm wearing.
Oh yeah?
Ah, cute.
Yeah, Trekkie.
I love it. And what's your necklace? What's your necklace?
Oh, this was a thing that I got a few years ago. This is Saint Dymphna. You know, my family's Catholic, and she is the patron saint of stress. For those of you who don't know, I am on the autism spectrum. And for a lot of people, including myself, on the spectrum, we feel certain emotions more, I guess you could say, powerfully than people who aren't. So, one of the ones that I feel very strongly is stress. So I'm trying to work on that, because you can also feel joy, to the extreme. So I'm trying to work on that and get to that. But this helps. My parents actually had it blessed by one of our priests. So
very
I got it for Christmas a few years ago.
Nice.
And I rarely take it off.
I also want to mention, I mentioned over in the DeForest Kelley Westerns thing that I was going to put up some URLs for interviews I have done about Dee's Western career. I'm also going to try to rearrange this thing a little bit, since I seem to keep falling off the screen. These are URLs to learn about Dee's Western career, his career in Western movies, because a number of people have interviewed me.
And are you also able to drop those in the chat for people to just directly click on?
I don't know if people can go into the chat. Let me think about that.
Or on the comments, because I was able to directly click on. Or maybe
another thing you can do to get there, to get to all three of these, is go to yellowballoonpublications.com. Because they're all on my home page there. Copy. I'm gonna. Can those of you who are watching this see that? Because if not, I'll also put it right here.
You mean the banners? We can
That
see
one.
the banners.
If you go there, there's a number of interviews that I've done, not all on Dee's Western career, the Star Trek and other things too. But if you go there, all of those are on the front page. You just scroll down a little bit below the book covers and the images, and just below that there are the links to listen to those. Here we have a private chat.
Yep, that's perfect. That showed up in the, I'm still logged in.
Amy?
On Twitch, yeah.
Hannah sent you a private message, a private chat.
I did not see that.
I don't know what it is she's asking about.
Oh,
that's what I was asking about. I was asking.
Bye-bye. Oh, okay. Teach me to tape things.
I was like, should we tell him or wait until he figures it out?
I don't watch myself. You better tell me. I'm watching you and watching everything else. See, it's happening again. I hate this. I should never have started messing with it. Stay. How do I do this?
I love how people tell objects, myself included, tell objects to stay as if they're going to listen and obey the command.
Now we can see you. Okay.
So funny. All righty. Well, it's almost noon here.
I know. It's probably
I better head out.
To go. Thank you, Amy, for joining us.
Yes.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you for having me. And
you are invited anytime you can get here. It's every other week, as you know.
Yes.
On Saturdays at 10:30. Anytime you want to, do not hesitate to come and join us. You are a light.
Thank you. It'll be good motivation to actually get up early and go on my walk early. So
all right. Okay, then I guess we'll wrap it up, shall we? I don't have any more comments. And everybody saying bye, Amy. Bye, Amy.
Bye. Thank you all. Have a great weekend.
Too.
And get creative. Send somebody a letter or a card.
Give me again your URL for yours.
Well, my website is amyulin.com, and I'm just getting back into updating that. That's one of my projects for today. But I'm most active on Instagram at the Creativity Playground.
Okay. And we just lost me again. You like the pretty picture anyway, don't you? You like the pretty picture I took of the blossoms.
That is really beautiful.
Creativity. Did I do that right?
Yes, at
Playground.
the Creativity Playground on Instagram.
On Instagram. And Creativity Playground on Instagram. That's where to find Amy.
Yeah, and technically it's the Creativity Playground.
Oh,
Somebody already has Creativity Playground, and it's very depressing because they've only posted like a couple things.
Oh,
like, really? I have to have such a long name? Come on.
And Hannah, when are you going to start doing your show again? Do you have a date for that?
I'm hoping very soon. I'm going to contact Reg and see if he wants to record tonight.
Oh, is that Reg? Is that Art Reg? Reg Art?
Yeah.
You're doing that with?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Okay. I'm trying to find. I know I've got you here.
And is that your Jack Benny show, or are you doing something different?
No, I actually don't have a Jack Benny show. I just really like Jack Benny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but my friend Reg and I have a podcast, The Ups and Downs of Paul and Tom. It's actually not a live podcast. It's set up kind of like the old-fashioned radio shows. You know, we're basically just telling a story solely through sound. But I have to edit that all together. So,
yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Okay, so we'll sign off for this time. And if you want to stay on, Hannah, or if you want to, Amy, I'll sign this off, and then we'll just chat for a second afterward.
All right.
Please, those of you who see this in the replay, if you enjoy it, please share it with others. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Hey,
Thanks
bye,
for joining
everyone.
us, those of you who came
Hey,
live.
guys.
Thank you.